Hey guys, I am here to talk to you guys about something very, very important, and there's a lot of questions and mysteries behind this, but what I'm going to be talking about today is about rings.
Money! He got money, get it all for him!
So let's just start off and just talk about the ring system, the very basis and foundation of just rings in general. So ring system, very self-explanatory. It's just literally a system of rings that literally orbit around planets or just any astronomical object. Alright, so rings, just like everything else in space, is complicated, but it's super straightforward as soon as you research and just find out what you want to know about it.
Okay.
Alright, so let's just get into detail about the rings and see what we can find out. Alright, one of the big questions here are, how did the rings come about? So there are two hypotheses to
2 shots of vodka.
that answer. There's the breakup hypothesis.
Still love you.
And with the breakup hypothesis, they are rings that are literally remains from a shattered moon. So what happens is an asteroid or a comet would pretty much kind of smash into the moon and kind of break it into pieces, and brings up the question, what is it that's holding up these remains of the moon? And the simple answer to that is tidal forces. Tidal forces are a force that pretty much stretch a body towards and away from the center of mass of another body. Alright, so the next hypothesis. The next one is that the particles that never came together to form a moon are pretty much just floating around the planet itself. Very much like Saturn, it has all these particles that are literally inside of the rings. Now, let's just go into detail about pretty much what is inside of the rings itself. First off, Saturn's rings are made up of 10,000 rings.
Damn!
They're very small, they're called ringlets, and they stretch out to about 175,000 miles across and is about 30 feet thick, which is roughly the size of a 2-story building. In these rings, there's particles that give it its size. There's particles that are the size of a mountain to even a grain of sand. Now, that then brings up another question. What are these particles and all this stuff made of? And the answer to that, from the observations of NASA's New Horizons spacecraft, the rings are made up of particles blasted into space from micrometeorite impacts with Jupiter moons. So that goes back to the hypothesis of there was a micro impact and the Jupiter's moons pretty much shattered. Another observation that was actually made was that there's vapor and ice plumes, pretty much just ice that's really right there in the rings, just floating around. So just picture a big ice mountain or just a small grain of ice, like that. So to conclude from all of this, rings are very much far from us, and we've done a lot of research on this. There actually is still research being done to this day as to what's in the rings, how many rings are there rings in other galaxies, all that good stuff. And it's just crazy to think that there's these huge ice mountains that look so small from where we are, from Earth. And you know what? That brings up another great question. What if there was rings around the Earth? And I guess we're just gonna have to leave that trip for Miss Frizzle and the Magic School Bus.
Please let this be a normal field trip with a friend? No way!
But thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it, and I hope you learned something.